The U.S. Surgeon General has issued a rare public health advisory on the mental health challenges confronting young people during this pandemic. Joining us live this morning is family and child development expert Dr. Gail Gross with some ways to help children and teenagers out there. Doctor, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I want to start with Generation Z here. A new survey by MTV Entertainment and the Associated Press says 46% of 13 to 24-year-olds said that the pandemic has made it harder to pursue their education and career goals. And with that added stress, I mean, how best, and that's a big number, 46%, how best do young men and women maintain their mental health from here on out moving forward?
You know, it's the uncertainty that put probably a larger number, really, of all of us under post-traumatic stress disorder, hopefully temporarily. But everyone is conflicted what to do, how to do it, how safe are they. And so you have to do things to restate or reinstate confidence and therefore competence. And one of the best ways to do that is to communicate with your children, regardless of how old they are. There are many studies that say a 24-year-old boy still wants a hug from mom. So we have to pay attention to take action. You know, if we gain control again, we feel better. And if we take action, we feel in control again. So doing things to help ourselves, doing things that will give us a sense of security. And, you know, around this time, I've created something called the empathic process, but sitting down with your kids in an empathic way, investing them in what their outcomes will be, really helps them feel like they're gaining control again.
You know what I think is interesting, Doctor, though, too, at the same time, because we're talking about parents, is so many parents are actually this time around in similar situations because of the pandemic.
That's right.
So what about the long-term effect here, Dr. Gross, for our youth? Because, like I said, on top of what they're dealing with, we do have parents who are struggling, who have been working from home themselves, who have had social issues. You know, they've been teaching from home, doing the distance learning with their children. I mean, for a family, I can only imagine that this is a very critical period in their lives.
How smart you are, and what a great question, because that's exactly right. Everyone is dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, and we're all in the same boat, but young people, of course, are looking at their future, and they're not dating in the same way, they're not going to school in the same way, and their needs aren't being met in the same way. And there's grief involved in this because they feel let down. They feel like their generation is losing out. A lot of kids couldn't go to the prom. A lot of kids can't go to the college they want, or their colleges are still closed. So the most important thing for parents is to model a sense of certainty, to model a sense of security, not to let their children know how panicky they are, but to create or establish a sense of control that they cue the children into, so that they don't burden the children with their own problems. And if you sit down with your children, adult children, little children, and think of their situation with empathy and talk with them and let them tell you what's going on with them, how they're feeling, then together you can problem solve and without getting angry or no defense. The key to this approach is to not defend anything. Just listen. Actively listen.
Don't just hear.
Actively.
Right? Hearing is one thing. Listening is something completely different. I agree
you
with you on that.
You are so smart.
I agree with you on that. Wow, geez, we could keep this interview going forever. That's all these compliments. But let me ask you one more question, because, you know, this is more for my younger child than my older child. But what about the fear of getting COVID? How long is that going to last? Because we'll be in a safe situation and she'll continue to wear her mask. I'm talking like at a park, and I tell her you could take it off, but she's had this mask on since she was 7, 8, and now she's about to turn 9. And I feel like she kind of has this fear that she's still going to get it, even though, you know, we're confident in many situations you're not going to get it.
Exactly. Another good question. What parents tend to not realize is that children are very aware of death, and they're very afraid of dying because children personalize everything. So if you said to children, you know, there was a bomb that went off in another country, they would personalize that and fear that that bomb was coming into their bedroom over their head. You know, when I was a child, I'm not telling you how old I am, but when I was a child, we used to hide under desks so we wouldn't be killed by a bomb But the truth of it is, hiding under the desk would not have helped us at all. Except that it gave us a sense of security that we could do something that would protect ourselves. So parents have to tell their children, I will protect you. I am there for you. I am not going to let anything happen to you. And if they can rely on you, and you keep your word in other things so that they trust you, because trust is based on experience. So if they feel they can trust you and rely on you, you will give them a comfort zone. And then extra cuddles, extra time together, and time with each child independently.
Dr. Gail Gross, we appreciate the time, and thank you enough for the conversation. Have a great rest of the week.
Wonderful questions. Thank you.
Every time I'm feeling down on myself, I'll bring you on the show, okay? Have a great day.